because of their refusal to abide by the mandates you support? Second, have you considered why millions of Americans, including doctors and nurses, will not get these vaccines? Third, have you considered the very real effects to critical institutions in our community vaccine mandates may have? I believe every human should have access to the COVID vaccine. However, I cannot and do not support mandates requiring Americans to inject a relatively new vaccine that does not effectively stop the spread of COVID-19, regardless of their religious beliefs or health concerns, as a condition of employment or education sounds an awful lot like tyranny and oppression. Intruding on individual liberties is a very serious matter. Why are we forcing vaccinations when the vaccines aren't effective at preventing the spread of COVID-19, which should be the only reason behind vaccine mandates in the first place? Why do we have to protect vaccinated from the unvaccinated? Why has there been no consideration of natural immunity? This is not good science, it is dangerous public policy, and we deserve answers. How do we become a nation of mandates, executive orders, tyranny, and fear, and not a republic of God-granted and constitutional rights, individual freedom, laws, and equal justice for all? Are we still the land of the free and the home of the brave? Folks, this is not the country Americans before us sacrificed, fought, bled, and died for. Instead, these mandates are more like the tyrannical king and ruthless dictators our ancestors fought so tirelessly to defeat. We're at this point because for too long the silent majority has been just that, silent. We sat back and happily lived our lives while an unhappy, noisy few spoke up. Then, because of weak, corrupt, and unprincipled leadership, our country abandoned our founding principles and the squeaky, most well-funded wheel got the grease. Fortunately, I believe those days are numbered. The silent majority is once again paying attention. We are not so silent. We are taking action, we are putting our leaders on notice, and we will remember for election days to come. Historically, a vaccine mandate in schools could only come from the state legislature, but we are already seeing vaccine mandates take hold in our community, even before the current administration's dictatorial orders have been received. First at our nursing home, then at the observatory, now at our hospital. I openly admit I have a personal interest in what happens at the hospital, but don't we all? Where would we be without the many local health services it provides? We currently have the best of all rural hospital for miles around and the most caring nurses in the world. Would you rather be cared for by an unvaccinated nurse or not have local access to hospital services at all? If you care about health care in Pocahontas County, now is the time to stand up and speak up. We must support all healthcare workers in this county who have been working relentlessly since this pandemic began. The thanks they get is that many of their careers are now at risk, not because of poor performance. For that, they have always gone above and beyond the call of duty, but because of COVID vaccination status, to which only they should decide. Vaccine mandates fly in the face of everything we've ever been taught about what it means to be an American. Many recent decisions by our government are driven by politics, power, money, and fear, not science and public health. They are divisive, ineffective, and for many, immoral. In the end, they may be found to be unconstitutional in most, if not all, cases, but before then, they will rip apart our country, forever change the lives of millions of families, and in the process ruin the most critical institutions of our communities, such as education and healthcare. There are many lessons we can learn from reading the Bible and studying history, but nearly all of human history can be summed up as this. There are forces of good and evil. We live in an imperfect world because it is populated and ruled by imperfect people. Above all, we desire freedom. But because of our imperfections, we understand government is necessary. The power to govern others is ripe with temptation, which is why our founders gave us our Constitution. But sooner or later, even our government can become oppressive if allowed, and when we the people have had enough, there has always been bloodshed until freedom is restored. Oppressive governments have always used fear to divide, distract, and turn people against their neighbors, as the leaders serve self-interest, scheming to increase their own power and wealth, fear of another's religious views, skin color, and now the unvaccinated. We are here peacefully this evening, exercising our constitutional rights, hoping to end the very dangerous path our country is traveling. But as the revolutionary Thomas Paine said, if there must be trouble, let it be in my day, that my child may live in peace. I don't know when this cycle of humanity will end, but I can tell you that in the end, freedom, hope, and peace will triumph, because God is always victorious. Thank you.
Charles.